It's a Friday night in 1985. Your dad pulls into the McDonald's parking lot and the whole car erupts, the golden arches glowing against the night sky. Inside, the smell of French fries cooking in beef tallow, cigarette smoke drifting from every table, the squeak of a styrofoam container opening somewhere behind you. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC. Fast food in 1980s America wasn't just convenient, it was part of everyday life. After soccer practice, on road trips, birthday parties, Saturday afternoons. The food was cheap, the marketing was everywhere, kids loved it, and parents embraced it. This was before calorie counts, before nutrition labels, before anyone worried about trans fats or childhood obesity. Fast food was just food, quick, tasty, and affordable. And none of it is coming back. This is the 1980s fast food experience in America. McDonald's, the undisputed king. McDonald's wasn't just a restaurant in the 1980s. It was an institution. The golden arches were as recognizable as the American flag. Every kid in America knew Ronald McDonald by name. Every family had their regular McDonald's, and going there felt like an event. The menu was beautifully simple. Hamburgers, cheeseburgers, Big Macs, Quarter Pounders, Filet-O-Fish. Chicken McNuggets arrived in 1983 and changed everything. French fries, milkshakes. That was basically it. No wraps, no salads, no all-day breakfast menu, just the essentials, done right. And the prices. A hamburger cost around 50 cents. A Big Mac was under $2. You could walk in with a $5 bill and feed yourself twice over. A family of 4 could eat for under $15 and still have change. Try doing that today. But it wasn't just about the food. McDonald's had something no fast food chain has today: characters. Ronald McDonald was the star, but there was a whole cast: Mayor McCheese, the Hamburglar, Grimace, Birdie the Early Bird. These characters were everywhere, on the cups, on the walls, on the playground equipment, on the TV every single Saturday morning. Kids didn't just eat at McDonald's, they grew up with McDonald's. And the food itself tasted different. Not just different from today's McDonald's, genuinely different. The fries were cooked in beef tallow, which gave them a rich, almost meaty flavor that today's vegetable oil fries simply cannot replicate. The apple pies were deep-fried, not baked. They came out of the oil bubbling hot, with a crispy shell that would burn the roof of your mouth if you weren't careful. The milkshakes were thick and creamy, made with real ice cream, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Those were your options, and they were all perfect. Then there was the Mac DLT, the burger that came in a divided styrofoam container, hot side hot, cool side cool. The lettuce and tomato stayed crisp and fresh on one side, while the burger and cheese stayed warm on the other. You assembled it yourself. It was genius, and it's gone forever. The birthday party experience. Having your birthday party at McDonald's was the pinnacle of childhood in the 1980s. Getting invited to one was almost as exciting as having your own. The restaurant had a dedicated party area, usually roped off with balloons and streamers. Everyone got a Happy Meal. There was a birthday cake. Party favors for every kid. Sometimes Ronald McDonald himself would show up, or at least someone dressed as Ronald McDonald, which to a 7-year-old was exactly the same thing. The employees would lead games. Kids would run wild. Parents would sit at a nearby table drinking coffee, completely unbothered. And then there was the playground. In the early 1980s, McDonald's had outdoor playgrounds with metal equipment that would be shut down by health and safety inspectors in about 30 seconds today. High metal slides that baked in the sun and burned the backs of your legs. Climbing frames with no padding underneath, just concrete. Later in the decade, the indoor play place arrived. Those twisting tube slides, the ball pit, the bridges. Kids would disappear into the play place for an hour and emerge sweaty, happy, and ready for more McNuggets. McDonald's birthday parties are one of the most universally shared memories of 1980s childhood. It wasn't just a meal, it was the highlight of your year. If any of this is bringing back memories, drop a comment and tell us about your favorite fast food experience from the 1980s. Was it McDonald's birthday parties? Friday night Pizza Hut? We want to hear your story. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. We've got a lot more 1980s memories coming. Smoking everywhere. Here's something that would be absolutely unthinkable today. Every fast food restaurant in America had ashtrays on the tables. Every single one. People would sit down with a Big Mac and a pack of Marlboros and think nothing of it. Cigarette smoke mixed with the smell of French fries, and that was just what fast food smelled like. There were no non-smoking sections. That concept didn't exist yet. Families with small children sat next to people chain smoking. Nobody complained. Nobody even noticed. It was just the background of life. Employees smoked in the back. Drive-through workers smoked between orders. Even the managers smoked. The indoor smoking ban was still years away, and when it finally came, it genuinely changed the entire fast food experience. But throughout the 1980s, smoke and fast food were inseparable. Styrofoam and packaging. Everything came in styrofoam. The Big Mac had its own clamshell container. The Quarter Pounder had one too. The coffee cups were styrofoam. The containers squeaked when you opened them. That squeak is one of those sounds that instantly takes you back if you live through it. The styrofoam kept your food warm in a way that today's paper packaging simply doesn't. You could pick up a drive-through order, drive home, and your burger would still be hot when you opened it. That mattered. Nobody worried about the environmental impact. Nobody had even heard of the environmental impact. Styrofoam was cheap, it worked, and that was that. McDonald's didn't switch to paper packaging until 1990, which means the entire 1980s were the styrofoam decade. You literally cannot separate the memory of 1980s fast food from the sound of that squeaky white container. The Burger Wars. The 1980s were the decade of the Burger Wars, and the competition was fierce. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's were locked in a battle for every customer in America. Burger King went all in on flame broiling. Their entire identity was built around the idea that flame-grilled was superior to McDonald's fried patties. Have it your way meant customization. You could get your Whopper however you wanted it, which at the time felt revolutionary. Then Wendy's dropped a bomb. In 1984, Clara Peller looked at a competitor's burger and asked three words that became one of the most famous advertising slogans in American history. "Where's the beef?" It was everywhere. On t-shirts, in political speeches, on the playground. Wendy's positioned itself as the chain that gave you more meat, more quality, more substance. And it worked. The competition was fantastic for customers. Prices stayed rock bottom. Promotions were constant. Free toys with every kid's meal. Limited time menu items that created genuine urgency. Movie tie-ins with Star Wars, E.T., and Batman that turned a trip to the drive-thru into an event. Wendy's also had the salad bar, which was genuinely ahead of its time. An all-you-can-eat salad bar at a fast food restaurant. It had lettuce, pasta salad, pudding, taco fixings. People would pile their plates absurdly high. Pizza Hut had a salad bar too. It was the 1980s fast food industry's attempt at seeming healthy without actually changing anything about the burgers. The drive-thru experience. The drive-thru became standard in the 1980s, and the early ones were an adventure. You'd pull up to the speaker, which was basically a metal box with a crackly intercom. Static, distortion. You'd shout your order. They'd repeat something back that sounded nothing like what you said. You'd repeat yourself. They'd repeat something different. You'd just say yes and hope for the best. Then you'd pull around to the window and discover they'd gotten half of it wrong anyway. But it didn't matter. The convenience was revolutionary. You could get dinner without leaving your car, without unbuckling the kids, without finding a parking space. Teenagers would cruise through drive-thrus late at night. It became a social ritual. Pull up, order, sit in the parking lot with your friends eating burgers. The fast food parking lot on a Friday or Saturday night was its own scene. Kids hanging out, music playing, just being teenagers. The drive-thru wasn't just about food, it was about freedom. Pizza Hut, the sit-down experience. Pizza Hut in the 1980s was nothing like what it is today. It was a sit-down restaurant, a real one, with red roof buildings, stained glass lamps hanging over every booth, red and white checkered tablecloths, and waitresses who took your order at the table. Going to Pizza Hut was an event. Families went there for Friday night dinner. It was a tradition. You'd slide into a booth, study the menu even though you already knew what you wanted, and wait for your pizza to arrive on that distinctive black pan. The personal pan pizza launched in 1980 and became iconic. The lunch buffet was an all-you-can-eat deal that felt like stealing. Endless pizza, breadsticks, and the salad bar for just a few dollars. Pizza Hut had something that made it special. It felt like a real restaurant. It had atmosphere, the lighting, the decor, the fact that you actually sat down and waited for your food. Pizza Hut wasn't fast food trying to be a restaurant. It was a restaurant that later turned into fast food, and that makes all the difference. If you're enjoying this trip back to the 1980s, hit that subscribe button. We cover experiences just like this one every week. The mall, the arcade, road trips, school, all the things that made growing up in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s unforgettable. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Taco Bell and the Mexican food boom. Taco Bell exploded in the 1980s and brought Americanized Mexican food to every suburb in the country. Hard tacos, soft tacos, bean burritos, nachos, the Mexican pizza, everything on the menu cost under $1. You could eat an entire meal for $2 or $3 total. It bore almost no resemblance to actual Mexican cuisine, and nobody cared. Taco Bell made Mexican food accessible, familiar, and above all, cheap. It was the place you went when you wanted something different from burgers, and the simplicity of the menu was part of the charm. KFC, the family bucket. Kentucky Fried Chicken was the answer to one question. What's for dinner tonight? You drive to KFC, pick up a bucket of chicken, bring it home, and that was dinner. The original recipe was the standard. Extra Crispy had been around since 1972 and had its own loyal following. Every bucket came with mashed potatoes, coleslaw, and biscuits. Colonel Sanders was still the mascot, his face on every bucket, every commercial, every store sign. KFC positioned itself as family food. The bucket wasn't fast food, it was dinner. And for a lot of families, a KFC bucket was a treat, something special. Kids would request it for birthday dinners, even knowing they could have had anything else. Hardee's, Roy Rogers, and the chains you might have forgotten. The big three got most of the attention, but the 1980s were also the era of beloved regional chains. Hardee's served biscuits that people still talk about 40 years later. Roy Rogers had roast beef sandwiches and a Fixins bar that let you load up your burger however you wanted. Arby's brought curly fries and the beef and cheddar to the masses. Then there were the true regional legends. Whataburger in Texas, In-N-Out in California, White Castle in the Midwest, Checkers and Rallies in the South. These chains had fierce local loyalty. Supporting your regional chain was a point of pride. You didn't just eat there, you defended it. Work in fast food. Fast food was where American teenagers went to work. You turned 16, you got a job at McDonald's or Burger King, and you worked after school and weekends. It wasn't glamorous. The work was hot, greasy, and repetitive. You flipped burgers, worked the fryer, manned the register, and cleaned the bathrooms. The uniforms were polyester nightmares, visors, name tags, shirts that smelled like grease no matter how many times you washed them. You'd come home after every shift smelling like French fries. Your car smelled like French fries. Your school bag smelled like French fries, but it was money. Minimum wage was around $3 to $4 an hour, and that was enough for a teenager in the 1980s. Enough for gas, for clothes, for going out on the weekend. And there was no stigma. Everyone worked fast food. It was a rite of passage. Some people met lifelong friends working the late shift. Some people met their future spouses behind the counter. One commenter on a video like this said he met his wife at McDonald's in 1985. They married in 1991, raised 2 sons, and just celebrated over 30 years together. That's the thing about 1980s fast food. It wasn't just where you ate, it was where life happened. The food itself. Here's the truth that everyone who lived through the 1980s will tell you. The food tasted better. Not just nostalgically better, actually genuinely, measurably better. The burgers were thin and greasy and absolutely delicious. The cheese was processed American cheese, and nobody pretended otherwise. The lettuce was iceberg. The buns were soft and slightly sweet. Everything was salty, fatty, and satisfying in a way that today's reformulated fast food simply isn't. The French fries were the biggest difference. Cooked in beef tallow, they had a flavor and a crispness that vegetable oil cannot reproduce. McDonald's switched away from beef tallow in 1990 under pressure from health campaigners, and the fries have never been the same. Ask anyone over 45, they'll tell you. The milkshakes were thick enough that you had to work the straw, made with ice cream and whole milk, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. No fancy flavors, no limited edition seasonal options. Just 3 choices, all of them perfect. Nutrition facts were not posted anywhere. Calorie counts were unknown. You ordered based on taste and price, and that was it. Nobody talked about trans fats or childhood obesity or sodium intake. Fast food was just food, and that ignorance, honestly, made it better. You ate a Big Mac and fries without a shred of guilt. Those days are gone. The prices. Nothing captures the difference between then and now like the prices. A McDonald's hamburger cost around 50 cents. A Big Mac was under $2. A Happy Meal was about $2. A family of 4 could eat for under $10 to $15. You could walk into any fast food restaurant with a $5 bill and leave full. $10 was a feast. The 99-cent value menu didn't even arrive until Wendy's introduced it in 1989. Because before that, most items were already under $1 anyway. Compare that to today, where a single combo meal can cost $15 or more. The value proposition of 1980s fast food was staggering. It was genuinely cheaper than cooking at home for some families. And for many families, that's exactly how they used it. Not as a treat or an indulgence, but as a practical, affordable way to feed everyone after a long day. What we lost. Fast food in the 1980s was defined by a combination of things that simply don't exist anymore. The affordability, the simplicity, the taste, the complete absence of guilt, the characters and the culture, and the sense that walking into a McDonald's or a Pizza Hut was actually an experience, not just a transaction. The buildings had personality, the decor had warmth. The people behind the counter were local teenagers you actually knew. The food was made with ingredients that have since been banned, reformulated, or replaced in the name of health and efficiency. And something intangible was lost in that process. Today's fast food is faster, cleaner, more efficient, and arguably safer. But nobody writes love letters about it. Nobody's eyes light up remembering a Tuesday night drive-through run in 2024. The 1980s were different. Fast food wasn't just food that happened to be fast. It was a genuine part of American culture, American childhood, and American family life. And for those of us who lived through it, we didn't know how good we had it. That was the 1980s fast food experience in America. If this brought back memories, share this video with someone who remembers Friday night Pizza Hut or birthday parties at McDonald's. Subscribe to Echo Years for more videos like this one, and we'll see you in the next one.